Hello. We're going to keep this one short. I'm still going to use my ruler. We're going to start with the throne of Constantine. It's a chair across here. We did it in class the other day, and I am going to try and concentrate on that, and then maybe next week we'll concentrate on drawing Constantine. I will do it in class, and you can draw it with me, or we'll figure something out. You know, we're flying by the seat of our pants here. So this is Constantine's throne. And the date now is 331. Lots of time has passed, and it's no longer safe to live in Rome. And I think what happened was Constantine ran into some issues with people not wanting to give up their old religion. Maybe, I don't know, Hera or Nefertiti or Venus, whatever you want to call her, by her, yeah, the Roman gods who were stolen from the Greek gods. Perhaps somebody had been treated well by their Roman gods, so they didn't want to give up their religion. Excuse me, sir, I want freedom of religion, which we're supposed to have in this country, but we tend to pick on people if they don't believe exactly what we want them to believe, which is not what the forefathers had in mind. Okay, so this is our throne. I made 2 rectangles and then a couple of those columns, but these kind of do hold up something. They have a bowl on each one. I guess, you know, as you get older, your eyesight starts to go, so maybe these are his reading lamps. So we'll put some flames in them. Or you can put a cross in them with the flames. It'd help if they were even, wouldn't it? Let me make them even. Here. And here. Symmetry is not always my thing. Okay, so here are our flames. And if you wanted to put a cross right here, a crucifix. Oh, it's funny, I was watching some mystery on PBS, and Protestants call them crosses, and Catholics call them crucifixes. Okay, and you may wonder why Roman Catholics are in Rome. Well, some of the original Christians just didn't move with Constantine to the new city, which was called Byzantium, and I'll write that down. And it's the only city I know of that's had 3 names. If you find another, I'd be interested. And then he changed the name to Constantinople. Well, then during the Crusades, I believe the Muslim religion took over, and they changed the name again. So now it's Istanbul. It's an amazing place. Okay, we are going to learn some Christian symbols because people couldn't read. Where early Roman society, people could read, they stopped knowing how to read. They stopped taking baths like they used to, too. They used to go to the Roman baths every day. They had plenty of leisure time. What happened? Well, the Visigoths and Vandals started tearing up the city, and it was so bad they had to move to a whole different country. So this symbol of the P and the X was on shields when they went into battle for your Constantine's arch. And so that becomes a very important symbol. We're going to give him a cushion because this looks like it's really hard. So we'll give him a cushion with some tassels. There's some tassels here. And the other day in class, we learned and talked about how when people walked around with walking sticks all the time, either for defense or in case they slipped in some horse poo-poo, or somebody had thrown some olive oil in the street and the street was slippery. It gave them a third leg. Well, they also use it to make an arch in the ground. And if the person that they were greeting didn't make an arch back, they knew they weren't Christians. But if that person was a Christian, they turned it into a fish like that. So we're going to give him an eyeball and draw a line across there. And it was like a secret society. It had to be, because from the time of Nero, back around, I don't know, 50 AD, he started picking on Christians. And pretty soon, that's what they fed to the lions and tigers and bears, oh my, in the Colosseum. They just fed them like snacks, like you eat Cheerios or something. Okay, so this is his throne. I will show you some more symbols in class. So if you just want to draw the throne and maybe the P and the X, that's fine, because what I'll do is I'll show you all the different symbols. And then it's like, here, let me open you up to the world you came from. Okay, so here's Nero, or not Nero, Constantine. I better put that down here. Constantine. I wonder if that's where we get the word constant, because he was such a good leader. So here is his egg shape. Remember, humans have egg-shaped heads. And then we have a triangle for the shoulders to the waist. And we make a box for the waist to the hip. And draw this lightly, because you're going to put some clothes on this guy. You have from the hip to the knee and from the shoulder to the waist is approximately the same size. Excuse me. Is it the same all for everybody? No. Some people are tall, some people are short. And then from the hip to the knee and the knee to the ankle, it's a Tootsie Roll shape again, but it's a smaller Tootsie Roll. Then we have triangle-shaped feet, and we're going to have this foot sideways, just like we did with our Roman soldier. So this triangle is facing us, and this is sideways. Okay? And because he is older at this point, he is not going to wear the kind of little, almost looks like a long t-shirt with a toga over it. He's really going to wear a long toga. So here is his. And it's, as you got older in their society, you wore longer clothes. Now we're going to leave that there for a minute, because we've got to put on his cape. Remember, soldiers wore these to keep warm. They wore these to sleep in. Multi-used. And then we'll put it down like this. And then you just sort of make almost like a check up, except rounded check. Okay, so he's got clothes. We are going to put his shoulder to his elbow. Again, it's a Tootsie Roll shape. It's not quite as big as the thigh to the knee, but it's pretty big. He was probably a very tough looking guy. And then again, from the elbow to the wrist is a smaller one. Still a Tootsie Roll shape. And we're going to put this scroll in his hand. Remember that they didn't have books like we have now. It almost looks like he's carrying a rolling pin, but it would be a scroll. And in this hand, I'm going to put a dagger. And you're thinking, what? Well, if you didn't do it his way. Okay, so see these knees here? You're going to take your eraser. And if you color this really heavy, you might not even need to erase it. You can just color over it and emphasize the folds in his cape, I guess you would call it in our world. And then he had this short sleeves. They wore short sleeves. But you can emphasize his muscles, because, as they say now, he was cut. He was probably very, very well developed. And they like to, I don't think he's going to need to protect his wrists, because he's in his home, and I'm sure he feels safe there. So we'll just, I don't like that dagger. There. Now, ears, well, let's start with the eyes. Eyes are shaped like footballs with a little bit of air let out. I'm going to use something that has a pointier point. The nose is a parentheses with 2 upside down bowls, and they can be just dots on this. And then his mouth. Is he clean shaven? Yes. You're not going to see beards for a while yet. Give him some eyeballs. If you want to give him some wrinkles in his head, he probably earned those. And some wrinkles here. And then give him some eyebrows up here. They go from the edge of the nose up. And he's Italiano, so he probably has very heavy eyebrows. His neck is wide, like a football player. He's not going to be a little delicate fellow. And then you want to give him some curls in his head. So I'm going to use this for that and make his hair dark. Okay. And I will put into... You're going to write information on this, so I will put that on the website, what you have to write for him on this page. It's neater than this. You go from the corner of the eye straight out. We give him a little bit of ear thing. His hair might not, no, his head is slightly turned, so I wouldn't see this ear very much. Maybe a tiny bit of the lobe, and it's hardly worth bothering with. I'm afraid I made him look very much like that time period, because what happens is you find that as we go through history, in the Romans, if the year were 64 AD and you looked at a portrait of Nero, it looked just like him. By the year 331, all that reality in art goes away. So everybody looks a little cartoony. They have big eyes because I think they're scared to death. And you can stop this at any time. Get caught up. You could drape a piece of fabric on a chair or something and see how that looks to make this more realistic. Anything you want to do that is fine. Remember that he would have had, no, these are the ankles right here. And this is the foot facing us. They had shoes, but they tended to wear like strips of leather. Because if you look at images of their shoes, that's his big toe. It's a little bit bigger. And then we wouldn't see the ankle. Here's the ankle bone here. Here's the foot. Notice how there's a heel here, and then you come up for the arch, and then it comes across here. And then we have some straps. And you would have this. And you give it lots of straps, and then one that goes around here, goes around the ankle. And that would be pretty much the kind of shoes they wore. And actually, we still wear those kinds of shoes. Okay, make sure you write AD, because we did have some BC stuff. Okay, what you do after this is you will write information on the side. So, number 1, he makes everyone a Christian. Roman citizens must be Christian. There's no discussing it. It happens. Okay. And 2, moves the capital. From Rome to Constantinople. Now, his name was Byzantium, So if you woke up and you lived in Byzantium and these Romans all came in, they changed the name of the town. It would be like people coming from Cleveland, from Boston, and changing the name of this town to Revere City. It would be just like that. So you weren't in the same city anymore. Okay. He probably, he took all government buildings, and I'm going to use an abbreviation for that. I think this will work. And they are called basilicas. And made them churches. Now, didn't he already have temples? Well, they had to be chapels probably because they're small. But because in the Christian religion, they met one day a week, he needed a big space. So this government building, where you usually went to register that you got married, you had a birth in the family, you bought some land. These government buildings become churches, and that's where now people go to get married. And as we go into the Middle Ages, there are fewer and fewer government buildings, and basilicas are where you go to record all this information. I don't know about land, but it definitely births, deaths, weddings, etc. Okay. And you're thinking, what happened to all those people that took care of the temples? Notice that they were called priests, and then they had priestesses, lady priests. Well, the new religion doesn't have lady priests. We do have lady pastors now within Protestant religion. And maybe it will evolve that Catholics will have that. But we have two groups of Catholics. The ones in Rome are Roman Catholics. And then you have the Orthodox Catholics that are in Istanbul. That's where they stay. And then they kind of fan out from there. So if you go to downtown Columbus, you can see the Greek Orthodox Church. And that's what it's called, the Greek Orthodox Church. And if you look at it, you can see echoes of what the church that is in Istanbul now called the Hagia Sophia. You can see it there. Now, just in here, there's something called the Nicene Creed. And they say it in church, at least in the Catholic Church. I don't know about other churches. And it begins, I believe in one God. He went to the, he went to a conference, and they wrote this to abolish this whole business of what they called pagan religions. Now, notice that pagan anymore has a negative connotation to it. I think that's unfair. If people have a religion, that's their religion. So, okay. Make sure you have all that written there because you can see where that'd be great test questions. Have a good afternoon. Draw this. We will draw this in class. So if you were absent, draw this and then put this information beside it. That's what we did in class. And then we will draw Constantine as an older gentleman. Bye.